Hello, good evening. I'm Angela Henry, and I'm so excited to be your MC this evening. Although we've gone virtual this year, I hope that you'll feel like you're in a crowded ballroom, seeing old friends and meeting new ones. Although we are not in that ballroom, we are all together tonight, supporting Goddard Riverside. To kick things off, please help me welcome, directed by Francisco Nunez and Nancy Bloom, the Young People's Chorus of New York City at Goddard Riverside. Thank you. Indeed, we hear you, YPC. That was tremendous. That music was so positive, and the young people, they really give us hope. They have already begun their own social justice efforts. You know, I grew up around the corner from Goddard Riverside when it was a lot smaller than it is today, but just as important a neighbor. My mother and I took African dance classes at Goddard, in this very building, actually. The biggest thing I waited for each year was the book fair. And even the book fair never sleeps. It's online this year. I trust you are all dressed up just like me, on your couches, in your suits and dresses. No? Well, I hope everyone has a cocktail at least. If you don't have one, you can actually pause the action. The button below shows you, and you can get your favorite snack or drink and not miss anything. No matter, I'm just excited to be with people even in a virtual space. I'm glad to be with you again. This year, in addition to our Stefan Russo Book Prize for Social Justice, we have the new Youth Book Prize in partnership with the Children's Book Council. I can't wait to find out the winner.
Hey, I'm ready. Is it time for the book prize now?
Hi, Josh. No, it isn't time for the book prize yet. We'll announce the winner soon, though. Just sit tight. A number of great organizations and individuals made tonight possible. I want to especially thank our diamond level sponsors, Penguin Random House and Workman Publishing. Thank you to all our sponsors and supporters. We're all here tonight because we believe in investing in people to strengthen our community. A special shout out to the Goddard Board and the Book Fair Gala Committee, and a very big round of applause for the staff of Goddard Riverside. Usually, this is when we ask all the staff members in attendance to stand up and be recognized. So naturally this year, we asked them to stand up and make a video. Here's a taste of what Goddard has been up to.
Hello, I'm Larry Wood, and I've worked at Goddard Riverside for 33 years, and I serve as the Director of Organizing. I work with the staff committee, and we seek to infuse civic engagement and social justice pursuits in all of our program or cause areas. Beyond providing high-quality and innovative services, we recognize that there are so many issues that impinge upon the lives of the people and communities we serve. Finding avenues to take these issues on is a critical part of the work we do. Nonpartisan voter registration and get out the vote drives, community forums with elected officials, testifying at public hearings, petition drives, and more are all part of the work.
The Beacon program works across all ages. A big piece of the program is helping our young people define social justice and see it as a value. We discuss and integrate in our activities the values of being kind, sharing, fairness, working together, forming opinions, and acceptance of others. It is our goal that planting these seeds will carry them to the next level where they can advocate for themselves and others whenever they see injustice.
I am a social worker with Goddard Riverside Phelps House, and I work with the elderly population. So I have a dual responsibility. I am the coordinator of activities. So before the pandemic, I was the one, making the seniors happy. I also do case management, and right now we're working with the voting. For those that can't get out and vote, we're assisting them in completing the absentee ballot.
As a member of the senior management team, I work with our 16 programs that serve early childhood, youth, and older adults. Among the ways that we work as a settlement house is that we use a case to cause approach, where we look for situations where individual cases actually reflect larger societal injustices. We then work with our partners and coalitions across the city to try to address those situations on a systemic level. Among the issues that we've addressed are food and healthcare access and educational equity. And within our programs, we look to raise up participant voice, both in how we run our programs, but also in terms of the larger social context that we work in.
One of the ways that I pursue social justice is doing the work that the Option Center does, which is to ensure that underrepresented students in New York City, whether adult or youth, have access to, and that they're able to graduate successfully and to make post-secondary decisions.
I think equal access to education is a social justice issue because education is the key to success in the future. And students who continue their education after high school have access to better jobs and are better prepared for future changes in the economy. The way I contribute is by sharing up-to-date information with advisors and counselors in regards to post-secondary planning. My team designs trainings and tools and activities in order to prepare the educators that help New York City residents plan their futures. I really believe that good information about options is social justice.
So much has changed in just these past several months, but Goddard Riverside is still very much the heart of our community. It is my pleasure to introduce Executive Director Rod Jones to tell you more about Goddard today.
Thank you so much, Angela, for the introduction. And thank you all for joining. While we miss seeing your smiling faces this year, we are very grateful that you have joined us by video. Our work at Goddard Riverside continues, and this year's theme is Social Justice Never Sleeps. And this is true for us. For us, we continue the fight for social justice on every front, ensuring both through our programs and resource delivery that people have what they need in order for them to be well and our community to be well. In addition to that, as you can imagine, with all of the large-scale efforts going on to ensure justice and equity, we are there on the front lines in that fight. Whether it be matters of race and social equity, or whether it be just about making sure that each and every person has what they need in the battle against COVID, we are there doing this work. We are ever so grateful for your support particularly in years like this, and you'll see further in the video the work that we've been doing during this time of COVID. Again, thank you so much for your support, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
This is Leda calling from Goddard Riverside at Lincoln Square. How are you doing today, Victor? Before COVID, the seniors used to come, have lunch, talk to their friends, chat with the social workers. We used to have parties every Friday.
We're doing reassurance calls twice a week, making sure that we talk to seniors, that they know that they will be safe, that they have encouragement, that they know we're here waiting for them and that somebody simply cares. Our senior centers are like our big living room. It's a place where our seniors gather. It is the core heartbeat of community. With COVID, we've been unable to gather them together, so we've found creative ways to ensure that community continues. Whether it be doing outside activity in open spaces that allows them to exercise together, doing reassurance calls to call them on a regular basis, delivering meals to them has been another way to make sure that they know that we love them and we simply care.
Because this happened and the center have shut down, we are still here and we are here for you. So you can always reach out to us and we'll be here for you.
Since March, our team has been hard at work, really planning to restructure all of our programs so that we have service continuity. And we, in fact, started with three main goals. One was to make sure that we can keep our staff safe, and that we can keep our consumers safe and deliver the same quality of services we're delivering. The second item was to make sure that we didn't have to displace our staff. As you can imagine, we have upward of 550 employees that count on work to take care of their families as well. And then the third was making sure that we're able to meet the ever-increasing needs of a community impacted by COVID. We've been able to keep our top clubhouse active and going, which is a huge source of community for our population who have mental health challenges.
How's your family doing? Yeah.
There you go.
We've been able to take their daily meetings that are hosted inside and move them outside so that they can continue to be together as a community and grow as individuals. We've been extremely proud of the work that we've done to ensure continuity in education for children, particularly low-income children who now have to learn remotely, many of which that already had challenges in terms of academic achievement, which is what STAR does. It provides academic support for children who may be struggling in a subject or two. With COVID, we've been able to move to remote kinds of support that allow children to learn online.
STAR feels much less stressful because STAR gets you through everything quick and easy. They would explain everything to you and then go over it with you.
And in that process of teaching them and engaging them, we've also been able to identify where kids simply don't have the basic tools to participate in online learning. And so in that process, we've been able to provide both computers as well as other kind of hearing devices and additional coaching for parents to help them to take the place of teachers in terms of managing time, their children's time and meeting their academic obligations. Our homeless outreach staff are counted as essential workers. Our teams work the street 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether it be 20 below zero or 106 degrees, and that did not change through COVID. They continue to outreach on the streets of New York to help bring homeless people in. For those who hadn't have a place to live, even when the subways were shut down, we were at the end of the lines to receive homeless individuals to ensure that they were housed.
Doing this job give me a kind of sense of how can I help these people, what can I do for them, the empathy, the love that I have for them, being that they're individuals just like I am, but you know, situation happen.
We are very concerned as we go forward in our work that housing insecurity has increased at magnitudes that are almost out of control.
I think I see more people on the street are kind of worried, wondering like if it's because of COVID, people probably lose their job, become homeless, and have nowhere to go. So the only place left is the street.
So take a moment to consider having all of the resource you need and the support of your family, and the feeling that has grown of anxiety over the last months. If we have that feeling and we have all the supports and resources we need, imagine the homeless person who has built a life around being able to use a corner store bathroom, and that's now gone. Or who has found home in a subway and that closes at night. Or the person who's mentally challenged and counts on the comfort and companionship of the people in their groups, and that's now gone. Imagine a kid who is used to talking to their kids in classroom, and the one good meal they get is in the cafeteria at school, and that is now gone. As our community continues to battle with all of the uncertainty, now is our time to rally together to make community better. As you can see, our team has been working really hard to ensure that our services continue and that we are able to meet the enhanced needs of New Yorkers all around us. We ask that you consider making a special gift this year to allow us to meet the extraordinary needs that have arisen because of COVID. Your contribution will go far in ensuring that every New Yorker has what they need, because what we realize is that when each New Yorker does well, we do well as New York. We'd certainly like to be New York strong. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rod. It really is powerful to see all that Goddard continues to do in these unusual times. As he said, we need you. That's right. You there, sitting on your couch, you still at work, I see you, to keep this important work going. Who knows what else 2020 will bring us? Whatever it may be, please help Goddard to continue to respond to community needs. Now, normally, I go around personally to collect your gifts. I even have the bag again. Last year, you filled it up. But since I'm not allowed into your homes today, you'll have to meet me halfway.
I made my gift. Now is it time for the prizes?
Josh, it's just about time, but we wanted to brag about all the events leading up to tonight. Tonight's gala is the culmination of some amazing conversations we hosted all month long with New York City leaders in social justice. From the pandemic to Black Lives Matter to the state of the city and national politics, these conversations were really wide-ranging. In case you missed them, here are some highlights.
But we probably will have an effective vaccine, maybe safe, effective vaccine by the end of the year. But we're not going to have it in huge quantities. We have some number of millions of doses, let's say by the end of the year. But the priorities are going to be frontline health workers, other essential workers, and so on. But by the time it gets into general circulation, where we can give it to everybody, which is what we should be doing in terms of vaccine development timeline, we'll be into end of 2021, beginning of 2022, in my opinion. We're going to all have to adapt here, whether we have a vaccine or we don't have a vaccine. This is not going away before 2022. So there's going to be a lot to talk about. I had high hopes when I was in my 20s that we would end up, getting rid of poverty and racism and all those other social ills at the time that were part of and led to the civil rights battles and so on. But we're 50 years later, and we still have tremendous amount of unfinished business that has to be attended to.
You mentioned it's going to be up to us to fix these issues, but we're being directly impacted by these issues on a daily basis. My little cousins
Sure.
that are currently in school right now, they can't change the school policies. As people in power, they still need to be actively being mindful of the power and the people that are directly impacted.
When you have a $9 billion deficit, which is what the city has, and I think the states is double that, then it's really hard to say we're going to fund childcare, which I know there have been cuts in. We're going to fund, all the money that's owed almost for a year and a half, 2 years now, to the nonprofits. And we're not going to fund the garbage, which we cut garbage collection, sanitation, 65% for weekday, etc. So it's very, you see it, is even more than I do, because you have to make sure that Goddard Riverside and all your amazing human services programs are running, and human services always gets the short end of the stick.
This is true, Gil. A person who makes minimum wage is at $30,000 a year. If you have a one-bedroom apartment that's $2,000 a month, you're already in trouble. You can't quite make the rent. So what do you think has to happen in order for us to get to a more equitable space where people who work, and sometimes a job and a half or two, simply can't keep pace with the cost of living?
Right. Well, that is the biggest conundrum. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we just can't do without the federal government. And you know better than I do, like you talked about the 1970s, but we had subsidies. We had Section 8. We had programs that would subsidize the rent. We had them even through the 1980s. As far as I can see, they seem to be completely gone. I don't know if in this city at this time, if we can get the rents low enough by quote unquote private sector. I don't think so. And I don't think the private sector has the will to do it, to be honest with you. So that's where government has to step in. It just needs a whole overhaul. We are working in our office with a wonderful group of people trying to figure out this affordable housing crisis. And goodness knows Goddard has done it many times over, figured out how to do it. But it's hard.
Yeah.
And I just wish you could do more of it. And I want to congratulate you from the Capitol Hall to all the other programs that you have housed people in.
I think that for this particular moment in time, as we think about George Floyd and how literally the world watched that 8 minutes and 46 seconds when the police officer had his knee on his neck, was because so many of us had been moved home because of COVID. And so more people saw that moment than probably ever would have happened before. And because of that, I think it makes this moment different. It's more of a shared experience, and it was something that could not be argued because the camera was there.
How going to protests, you go, but you don't even know if you're going to come back safely, especially when you were seeing police beating protesters and tear gassing them and even shooting them with rubber bullets and taking like half their eyes out. And you didn't realize like, oh, this was dangerous. This was never glamorous. This was never fun. This is like life or death.
Really opened up the fact that there is systemic racism, and that racism, and by that term, what we mean is that there is systems that are in place that are designed and built on the fact that one race is inherently inferior to another. And so an individual can say to themselves that they are not a racist, but they have to recognize that there are systems that are in place that are designed to keep that that cycle going and continuing. If we had restaurants with just a few people who, few chefs who killed their patrons, that wouldn't be okay, right? So we can't have a few police that kill, and we can't have a few pilots who crash planes, right? So we have to make sure that we're eradicating that completely from policing at all. This is a place where you must have zero tolerance. It can't be there's a few. It's got to be zero.
Like you said, I also think there's no reason to justify why a police would kill. Like, well, he should have, stayed quiet when he was getting arrested, or he should have complied. Because like you said, using the same example as a pilot, if a pilot is crashing a plane, you're not going to say, well, there was that one passenger that wouldn't shut up or that kept walking around, right? That would sound ridiculous. Personally, I have to give testimony. If it was not for Options Access, I would not have gone into college. And if it wasn't for the Options Success program, I would not be in college.
Our theme tonight is not just lip service. As you've seen, the work Goddard Riverside does every day is the work of social justice. We are leveling the playing field and providing access to opportunities for all our neighbors. Advocacy is a part of our work. Calling attention to critical issues and advancing the discussion is part of our responsibility to our community. One of the ways we do that is through the Social Justice Book Prizes. You heard me right. This year we have more than one, an adult and a youth prize, both for outstanding nonfiction focused on critical social issues and published in the past year.
How about now, Angela?
Yes, Josh, it is finally time. First, we'll be awarding the 4th annual Goddard Riverside Stephen Russo Book Prize for Social Justice. Past winners have been calls to action around critical issues, including criminal justice reform, sexual harassment and abuse of immigrant workers, gun violence, and aggressive policing, all serious and timely issues. This year, we have another incredible selection. Let's meet the judges: Doug Bauer, Marcia Cantarella, Paul Krugman, Anna Polanco. This year, our nominees are Abandoned, America's Lost Youth and the Crisis of Disconnection by Ann Kim, published by New Press. Begin Again, James Baldwin's America and Its Urgent Lessons for Our Own by Eddie S. Glaude Jr., published by Crown. Big Dirty Money, The Shocking Injustice and Unseen Cost of White-Collar Crime by Jennifer Taub, published by Viking. Golden Gates, Fighting for Housing in America by Connor Doherty, published by Penguin Press. Open Season, Legalized Genocide of Colored People by Ben Crump, published by Amistad. And The TURNAWAY Study, 10 Years, 1,000 Women, and the Consequences of Having or Being Denied an Abortion by Diana Green Foster, published by Scribner. Doug Bauer, Executive Director of the Clark Foundation and Chair of the Judges Panel, will announce our winner. Doug?
And the winner is Abandon, America's Lost Youth and the Crisis of Disconnection by Ann Kim, and the publisher is the New Press.
I really can't express how honored and humbled that I am by this honor, and I am truly grateful to Goddard Riverside for this recognition. It takes a village to produce a book, but in particular, I'd like to thank Norris West at the Annie Casey Foundation for his unwavering support of my project from start to finish, and also my editor at the New Press, Mark Favreau. But most importantly, I really wanted to thank the many young people who shared their stories with me for this book. What I wrote about was a crisis of opportunity among America's young adults. I wrote this book before the pandemic, and even before then, millions of young people were out of school and out of work. They had been abandoned by the systems around them, but they still weren't without hope. And so my book is about how to reconnect young Americans so we don't lose all that potential. And it's a need that I think has become even more urgent today. Again, thank you for this recognition.
Congratulations, Abandoned. I can't wait to read these books. I have to say I'm particularly excited about this next one. In partnership with the Children's Book Council, this is the inaugural year of our Youth Book Prize for Social Justice. How do we help grow the next generation of social justice activists? These books are a great start. Our shortlist is All the Way to the Top by Annette Bay Pimentel, with illustrations by Nabi H. Ali and published by Sourcebooks Kids. For Beautiful Black Boys Who Believe in a Better World, by Michael W. Waters, published by Flyaway Books. Harlem Grown, by Tony Hillary, published by Simon & Schuster. And Lizzie Demands a Seat, by Beth Anderson, published by Boyds, Mills, and Kane. And here is Carl Lennertz, Executive Director of the Children's Book Council, and judges to announce the winner.
And the winner is Michael and Keisha's book.
Bravo.
The Goddard, Riverside, and Children's Book Council, we are truly honored to be the recipient of this inaugural award. I want to thank God and thank Flyaway Books. I want to thank the phenomenal Keisha Morris for her illustrations that provided an opportunity for this narrative to come to life. I want to thank the Muhammad Ali Center, who contributed a wonderful discussion and activity guide that I hope many are engaging in the classroom and in the living room. But given the fact that this is a children's award, and the fact that this Children's Book Award was inspired by my own son, Jeremiah, I wanted to provide him with the opportunity to offer a final word.
I want to thank everyone who has made this possible. We couldn't have done it without you. This book documents my family's experiences over the course of 5 years. And in those 5 years, we've had good times and bad times. But as you can see, from the bad times, we've grown closer together as a family. I'm grateful that the book has been able to reach so many people. When people read this book, I would like it to be a stepping stone for conversations about racism in the future.
Thank you very much.
Wow, congratulations to Michael and Flyaway. What an incredible book. That's a holiday gift I will be giving to several family members. That's all of the book prizes, Josh, so I guess that's the end of our evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. You know, your investment doesn't have to end with this beautiful evening. I hope you'll stay connected to Goddard. Even during this time, there are ways for you to donate and volunteer. Thank you for standing up for social justice tonight and every night. Good night, everyone.